Hey, what's going on, YouTube family? Brandon back with Taylorsfiresmoke Cooking. Welcome back into my kitchen. Today we're going to make up a smoked meatloaf. Now we're going to move along pretty quickly with this recipe. It's somewhat similar to my classic meatloaf recipe, which can be seen in the iCard up above. But we're going to put a few different variations on it, and quite naturally, it's going to be different because we're smoking it. So what I have here, I have 3 pounds of ground beef. I have a finely diced small green pepper and onion. We're going to season it. This is just some commercial barbecue seasoning. Get this at Sam's Club. We're going to use a little bit of Uncle Steve's smoke bomb, some black pepper, and we're going to be using a little bit of garlic, salsa for the kind of the wet portion of our meatloaf. You know, normally you use ketchup or sometimes barbecue sauce, but I've found that using salsa sometimes adds a little bit of a pop and flavor to your recipe. We have some eggs here, and I have some crackers. Now, I would normally like to use Italian breadcrumbs, but I just happen to have a ton of crackers in my refrigerator open for my kids, so we're going to use those as a binder today. So let's go ahead and start cooking or getting it whipped up. So what I want to do, like I said, I'm just going to add in probably about half of my onion and half of my green pepper to start. Then we'll look at it once we get it mixed and see where we're at. Go there. Put in our eggs. How you guys been this week? Has everything been going well for you? Have you had an awesome week so far? I have. God is so good. And even when times get hard, I just remember that he can always bring us out. So you ain't going to find me complaining. So what you want to do, you just want to smash up them crackers as best you can and go ahead and add them. This was probably just under a half a sleeve here. So if we need more, then we'll go back and put some more in there as well. We're going to add some Uncle Steve's. Now, I'm not going to have exact measurements for the seasoning because with seasonings, everybody's palate is different. This Uncle Steve's smoke bomb, like I said, it's heavy on smoked paprika and pepper, and it has some garlic in it and salt, but it's not super salty, so you can go fairly heavy with that. Black pepper is definitely preference. And this is a coarse ground black pepper that we're using. And then our barbecue rub. This one is similar to a seasoned salt. Not quite as salty, and it does have some sugar in it. So that's where we're at with that. And then here's our salsa. All right. Now this was almost a full jar, so I used about 2/3 of the jar. And then go ahead and get your hands in there and start mixing it up. There's no greater tool to use when mixing up a meatloaf than the tools that God bless you with. And that's these right here. Make sure you get everything well incorporated. Man, it smells good already, and it ain't even hit the smoker. I love meatloaf. Meatloaf is one of my favorite dishes. It's one of them things where, it's, you know, you can have your meatloaf for dinner one day and then have a meatloaf sandwich the next. And I actually like cold meatloaf too. Slice, you know, just in the fridge, just take a slice out and eat it. If you haven't tried that on in between a couple pieces of white bread, you're missing out because it's good stuff. All right, looking good. So what I want to do, I'm going to add the rest of my salsa in. So this is a 16-ounce jar. So we put in a 16-ounce jar. This is medium salsa, so it's it's not hot, but it's not mild by any stretch either. That's looking good. I'm gonna go ahead on and add in pretty much the rest of my peppers and onions as well. Now this is not this is a fatty hamburger I'm using, so we're probably gonna have a little bit of shrinkage, when we're cooking it. Also, a difference that you've noticed. When I make my regular, home classic oven meatloaf, I like to saute my peppers and onions prior to adding them to the mix But since this is going on the smoker, it's going to cook a little bit longer. So we're going to go ahead on and that's why I dice them up small. That way they can be in there raw and they won't be crunchy or nothing when they come out. All right, so we got it mixed up real well. Let's go ahead and form this loaf. And I'm going to let it sit for a little bit while we get the smoker up to temp. But let me get my pan together so we can loaf it up. Be right back. All right, gang, we're back. Now, I just have a small pan here. I'm not going to cook the meatloaf on the pan, but I do want to leave the meatloaf on the foil when I put it in the smoker. That way it's just easier to manipulate and move it around when I need to. But I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil spray to the bottom of my, or to my foil there. And what you just want to do is get your meatloaf ball out and go ahead and form it. Like I said, you can form meatloaf however you want. You can make it into a football or half a football, like a little loaf like we're doing now. You can form it into a square. You can put it into a pan. But we're trying to get some smoke on it, so you want to make sure that you don't have it in a pan. That way you can get as much smoke penetration of the meat as you can. It's not going to take an awfully long time to cook it. We're going to cook it at about 250 degrees. But you want to make sure you get as much smoke and penetration as you can. If you see any cracks in your loaf, make sure that you tighten those up because it will separate if you don't. A little trick or a tip for you guys, if you're having issues with it, cracks all over the place, if you get you some water and put a little water on your hand on the meatloaf, you can smooth it out and you can kind of get rid of those loaves. But this is perfect right here. So I'm just going to put this in the fridge for a little bit while we get our smoker up to temperature. Once we get the smoker up, I'll go ahead and bring you guys outside with me and we'll get this puppy on. Stick around. All right, y'all. Got it on our pellet grill here. I actually have our smoke tube running too, so we can get as much smoke into it as we can this amount of time. I'm going to have it running at 250. And we're going to cook it to an internal temp of about 160 to 165 degrees. So there's the meatloaf. I have it on my upper rack. That way the bottom doesn't get charred or anything like that while we're cooking. And we'll see you back when it's done. There's no need to wrap or anything. We will baste it with some barbecue sauce. But after that, we're just going to let it ride. So see you in a little. Wow, would you look at that? We've had our meatloaf for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And just look at that color on that bad boy. That thing looks gorgeous. You can see I had it on the foil and we just have it on the top rack here. So what I want to do, I just want to take a little bit of your barbecue sauce. You can use your favorite sauce. Today I'm just using Fire and Smoke Original. This is not my favorite sauce, but it's something I have in the house. And I want to try it on this meatloaf and see how it tastes. But you can just use your favorite sauce and then slather it on the top there. And we're going to let it continue to go for about 30 minutes or so. To get this sauce tacky on our meatloaf and to finish it up. It's just about done. But like I said, we just want to add a little bit of sauce on there, let it do its thing, and then we'll go from there. But guys, I'm extremely happy with the way it looks. That color is beautiful. Using Kingsford pellets. And that's all the sauce we need. So one last look. We're going to let it go, and when it's done, I'll bring you guys in. All right, guys, got the meatloaf pulled off. I've had it resting for just a little while. Cooked it at 250 degrees for about 2 hours and 25 minutes. For the last 30 minutes or so of the cook, we wound up putting some Fire and Smoke barbecue sauce on it. Like I said, you can just use your favorite sauce, but it has a really nice color. I'm really pleased with the way it looks. Smells fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and cut into it, and we can see what we got going on here. Super tender. Nice hunk in there. Flip. And you can see how moist it is. I hope you can pick that up. It does have a nice subtle smoke ring around there. So we know we got that's what we wanted here. Yeah, buddy. Look at that. That looks so good. You get a little taste. Got this little piece over here, this little niblet. That is amazing. You definitely taste the smoke, not overly salty. That's one thing I definitely don't like in meatloaf is a super salty meatloaf. So this tastes fantastic. That barbecue sauce is actually really, really good. This is the first time I've ever tried it. It's almost like barbecue sauce and steak sauce mixed together. So if you love steak sauce, you like barbecue sauce, I recommend that you give that a try. And that is Fire and Smoke Original. Not to be confused with me, Taylor's Fire and Smoke, but this is some good stuff if you can find it. So, that's a smoked meatloaf. I hope you like the recipe. Hope you guys give the recipe a try. It is fantastic. It's really, really good. And it's a different variation on meatloaf. So if you liked it, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video out. Um, hit the notification bell if you will. Till the next time, guys, we'll see you around. God bless you. Have a good one.